now then, we're docked just outside a fantastic venue in Stuttgart in Germany on the Starship Enterprise. I think we pulled in the early hours of this morning. Everybody's up now. The loading's been done, stage looks great, over halfway through the tour, and we thought it was about time we tried to answer a few of the questions that you've been posting that Al asked you all to pop onto the Facebook site. So I think myself and Lee are going to have a little go today at answering some of your questions.
Name and rank, sir.
Lee Morris, drummer and general basher of things.
Right, your first question is, if there was any advice you could give to your younger self about Magnum, what would it be?
It would have been to have got incriminating photos of Al Barrow much sooner, so that could make him let me join the band earlier.
So, what advice would you give your younger self?
I'm not sure really, because I mean it's kind of, I think everything has kind of led me to this point, you know, because obviously I've had connections with the band over the years, and I think everything always happens for a reason. So I think maybe, you know, this was the point where I was, you know, destined to join Magnum. You know, it's kind of a weird journey, you know, how it's all sort of come together. So,
right, question from Alistair Hill. What is Rick's favourite Magnum album and the content of choice, and does it mean or give you the answers to life, the universe and everything?
Okay. Favourite album, I think probably would still be the first Magnum album I bought, which was Storytellers. I remember getting that when I was at sixth form at school. And like a lot of people, I think attracted to it by going into record shop and just seeing the cover design on it, thinking, oh, I better check this out. Content on it is absolutely amazing, and there's some prolific songs on there that, you know, obviously we still enjoy playing live. The meaning of life, the universe, etc., etc., I have no idea at all. Just kind of quite happy just to wake up every morning and smile and get on stage and play some of the songs. That does me fine at the moment.
David Seawood asks, what did you think when you first met Bob?
well, I first met Bob, gosh, I've met Bob on numerous occasions actually. I think I met him at Donington in '96. Backstage, and we had a chat, and I met him various times over the year with Annie. He's just a regular down-to-earth guy, you know, no airs and graces, just what you see is what you get, you know, a typical Brummie lad really. So, you know, that was always been my impression of Bob, and you know, I still have that opinion today.
Paul Mackinson asks, what's your preferred meal after a gig?
Oh, difficult. Either Indian or Chinese. Yeah, because you can get a Chinese curry. I'll go Chinese.
Question from Keith Jury. We all know that Tony writes the songs and lyrics. Do the other band members have input in any ways? For example, would Bob say, can we use these words instead of those, for example? So give us a quick rundown of your day in the recording studio.
Okay, I mean, with regard to the lyrics, I mean, that's Tony's domain. I mean, I can only talk about my personal experience with regard to this album, and it was incredible. I mean, you know, Tony does give the band very sort of definite demos of, you know, of the vision of what he has for the song, and obviously we get to hear those. But you know, for me in the studio was great because he sort of would play the sort of ideas that Tony had, but then he pretty much said just go in and do what you want, you know. And I think the great thing is for me with this record, I think probably about 70% of, you know, the things that we change, you know, Tony really likes. So I think he kind of quite embraced the fact that we brought something to the band as well. So for me, you know, it was a great experience, you know, and I felt like I actually got to bring a little bit of myself to Magnum, which, you know, for me is quite important. You know, I think you always want to, you know, sort of make an impression and you know, bring something to the band that, you know, that you're with. So I think Tony enabled me to do that really.
John Crombie asks, which is your favourite venue that you have performed in with Magnum?
Wow, John, that's a really, it's a tricky question because arguably there's a lot of things that would make you decide what your favourite venue is. It could be backstage access, it could be the catering, it could be sort of shower facilities, it could be the stage, it could be the PA, it could be the audience, the capacity. There's so many bits that would make up and I think because they're all so different, I'm not sure really that I've got a favourite venue, because there's, like I say, there's so many different things that would swing you one way or the other. And certainly on this tour, it's been a real weird one, because every venue has been special in its own way, and I think a lot of that's been down to actually the fans. It's been absolutely crazy. The reception that we've had as a band on stage has been phenomenal, and the actual venue kind of almost pales into insignificance, because the buzz that we're all getting from the audiences has been absolutely unreal, certainly in my experience. So a really, really tricky question to answer. So in all honesty, I think they've all been fantastic in their own way.
Brian Scott asks, if you weren't in Magnum, what band would you most like to have joined?
Oh gosh, I mean, you're getting into the realms of your favourite bands, can't you? I mean, my favourite all-time band, if everyone knows, is Toto. I've always been a big fan of Toto, so that would be the band that I would join. Whether I'd actually be good enough to be in that band, who knows? But that would be a dream gig for me. But I mean, this is as close to a dream for me as you can get being in Magnum. So I'm quite happy with where I am right now.
Brian Marks asks, which single piece of musical gear would you keep if you had only one thing?
Okay, yeah. That's okay. At the moment, it would be the Core Kronos, and the simple reason for that is it's like just taking everything in one keyboard. So the Kronos has got so many different synth engines, sampler engines. You can record into it, you can multi-track, you can record audio into it. It does absolutely everything, so it would be the Kronos.
Chris Wilcock asks, what are your hobbies outside of the band and the music?
Well, being a dad is my biggest thing. I've got 3 children, so being a full-time dad, I mean, I do like to sort of, I try to ride just for my own pleasure and that kind of thing, and get to the gym when I can, which I've not been for a while, as you can clearly see. But apart from that, it's just spending time with my family. It's we do spend a lot of time away from our families, doing this job. So it's it's nice just to sort of get home and then just do the regular things, like changing nappies and getting children up for school and doing school runs and things like that. All the exciting stuff.
Tracy Morris, who has been your greatest inspiration, either musically in your life or in other areas? And why?
Stumped. I am stumped. I was asked this question in an interview about 12 months ago. Again, it's one of those really difficult questions where you think of one person or one artist, and that makes you think of somebody else, and then you think of somebody else. In terms of sort of carrying on and wanting to do the very best that I can, my inspiration really is my family and my close friends. They're the ones that really drive me to do the best that I can, and hopefully to make the people that are close to me proud of me. Musically, my parents from a young age introduced me to a lot of different types of music. I had great music teachers at school. I listened to such a wide variety of music that I don't think there was one artist in particular that influenced me. So it's a lot of things, a lot of people, for a lot of different reasons.
And question from Al Barrow, is he the sexiest dancer in the band?
He has some interesting moves.
Nicola Middleditch, she asks the question, what's your preparation regime before a gig?
Well, ideally, it's as weird as it sounds, I always like to just have a shower just before the show, because I just find it just freshens me up and sort of makes me feel nice and clean when I walk on stage. And then it's just the usual, you just sort of do a bit of stretching, some rudiments with your hands, warm your legs up a little bit. Also, I mean, it's a whole day of preparation. You want to make sure that you eat a good 2 hours or so before the show, ideally. And like I said, just try and keep myself sort of walking around, just to keep the blood flow going, really.
If Magnum or music didn't happen as a career for you, what do you think you would have done? This is from Helen Frost Rich.
I remember the careers advisor at school asking what I wanted to be when I grew up. In fact, my mum still asks me that now. But the career advisor asked me, and first choice was always going to be I wanted to be a musician. Same response actually that I got from my mum. And he said, no, seriously, what do you want to do as a career? And I actually seem to remember at that time I said I wanted to be a policeman. I don't think I'd have been a very good policeman. So hopefully the music thing's done me not too badly.
Paul Mackinson, sticking with the food thing here. Preferred meal after a gig, Indian or Chinese?
Well, I prefer not to eat after a show, if I'm honest. But given the choices of Indian and Chinese, it will always be Indian. I do like spicy food, so always Indian.
From James Bell, asks about the recording process. Just give us a quick rundown on how you operate and how you deal with what Tony asks you to do in the studio. So, on a typical recording day, what's the process when Tony gives you a song idea? Where do you go from there?
James, quite simple really. Tony prepares quite detailed demos of each of the songs, sends them out to all of us. You have a listen, pick your own parts out. I spent quite a little bit of time at my studio at home playing along with the tracks that Tony put together, thinking about sounds that could be used, little bits of orchestration, little sort of rhythmic patterns that might fit in well with the suggestions of the drums that were on the tracks. I'd then go across to the studio with Tony and Sheena and Mark, and it was always one take for Sheena, one take for Tony, and then Tony say, okay, play anything you like, see how that goes. And then we'd listen back and pick the sections out that worked for the song best. Some of the ideas worked, some of them didn't, but it was an awful lot of fun, great learning experience.
John Crombie asks, have you got a favourite venue that you've performed at with Magnum?
Oh, with Magnum. I think my favourite show probably so far. I mean, I like sort of venues like Holfirth and venues like that. Real sort of where you feel like you're really close with the audience. I mean, tonight's venue looks incredible as well, to be honest with you. So I'm looking forward to a Stuttgart show. I mean, the Birmingham Town Hall gig would have been fantastic when we were all set up ready to go. But alas, we never got to do that show. But I mean, every show has been really, really good on this tour, to be honest with you. And there's some venues I've never played before as well, so that's always exciting to do.
All right, I'm scared because I've just seen you smile as you're reading this next question.
It's a nice question. The band are coming to Fiona Ashbridge's house for dinner.
Really?
You can bring one other musician, rock legend, who has some way inspired you or had an impact on your life. They don't need to be alive today, but who would you bring and why?
Wow. This goes back to whose influence has been. I don't know. So many great people. Who would I like? Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder?
Yeah. Just because. What a genius. Yeah, I think Stevie Wonder.
Okay. Paul Mackinson, very simple question. JD or Scotch?
A JD.
Matt Stolfer asks, what's your favourite band of all time, besides Magnum, of course?
Oh, there's too many. These questions.
No, they're got to be answered.
These are really difficult, and it's a little bit like saying, what's your favourite type of food? It's a taste thing. So with food, one night you might fancy an Italian, the next night you want a curry, the next night you want a Chinese. You like all of them, but depending on your mood, makes you decide which you're going to go for. So favourite band of all time, it would depend on what mood I was in. I love Pearl Jam, I love Blood, Sweat and Tears, Earth, Wind and Fire. Just there's a whole plethora of stuff that I listen to. So no favourites, just lots that I love. Brian
Marks asks, if you could keep only one piece of musical gear, what would it be?
Oh gosh. I can't include my computer in that, can I? So probably my snare drum. I've got a fantastic new Julie snare drum on this tour, which I've fallen in love with. So my nice bronze Julie snare drum.
Phil Cooper asks, what's your hobbies and interests other than music?
Hobbies and interests. I like playing snooker. I'm a dreadful snooker player. I remember getting a break of about 18 once and having to sit down for 3 hours and think, really, did I just do that? So Yeah, I like spending as much time as I can with the kids as well. Building Lego, that's a great hobby. Lego things, Formula One cars and spaceships.
Gina Blockler asks, what song by another band, if any, have you heard and said, damn, I'd wished I'd written that?
Oh gosh, that is a really tough question, Gina. There's so many great songs, on a daily basis I'll hear a song and think that's just genius, I wish I'd had something to do with that. That is just far too many to answer, really.
You've got to give me one, at least. On the spot now.
One song. Okay, going back to my early thing with Touted and Fat Man, I think Rosanna, just purely for the Jeff Beccaro drum groove, because that's just the ultimate drum groove, really.
Darren Dorling asks the question, from your extensive experience, what advice would you give to a young musician like myself looking to make a career in music?
Wow. There's a few things. Practice. Be as technically proficient as you can be on your instruments, and also be aware of all genres. Don't just focus on one genre of music. Often, where you think your career musically is going to take you will divert off in a different direction. Just be as good as you can at playing as many different styles as you can. Be patient, be courteous. 75% of working as a professional musician is actually about the way that you communicate and you get on with other people. Your technical ability has to be a given, so it's practice, be as good as you can, and just be a wonderful person.
Mark Steele asks, if you weren't a musician, what do you think you would have done as a career?
Knowing me, it would have been something that involved lots of noise, so maybe building sheds. I think it would be the answer to that. I do like to be in a noisy environment, so shed building or hammering nails into very large noisy things, I think.
Not much of a difference.
Not really. Either that or join the circus.
Andy Ashbridge asks, Rick, what's your favourite Magnum song?
Oh, Andy, here we go again, favourites. I go back to what's my favourite type of food. It depends on the mood that I'm in. There's so many, as we all know, there's too many to choose from. Of the set that we're playing at the moment, one night it could be Les Morts, the next night it'll be The Spirit. That really moves me, the way Bob sings it. And it's such a privilege to actually sit there accompanying him, and he'll just move it in a slightly different direction each night. You're very aware and conscious. I love playing things like All England, where you can get up and have a bop around. Some of the new material, watching Al trying to dance is always hilarious. They're all great to play, all for different reasons.
Is there you have expressed an opinion on a particular song a few times in the dressing room?
There is one that we don't play at the moment, that I keep requesting in my Desert Island Disc tool ships. Yeah. We'll see.
Ashbridge asks the question, you're going to her house for dinner. You get the choice of one music rock legend, live or dead. Who would you take as your partner?
Oh, now then. I think I'd probably take Freddie Mercury, because I think it would be such a fun night of flamboyance and over-the-top behaviour. So I think Freddie Mercury, would be an interesting dinner guest.
John Crombie asks, Rick, were you a Magnum fan before joining the band?
Yep, John, I was. I think I answered this a little while back. I got Storytellers when I was at sixth form school, so I've been sort of following the band since I was a teenager.
Andrew Gallagher asks, what's the weirdest bit of fan contact, fan mail or fan present that you received?
Oh, well, thankfully I've not met too many over-enthusiastic fans over the years, so I think it's just generally been signing body parts. I think has probably been the only weird thing I've ever had to do, but never too close to the nipples.
Jess Woodland asks, Rick, who are you listening to at the moment?
I'm listening to Al asking these questions at the moment.
I think he's referring to the music.
Anything and everything. lots and lots. There's an English guy who moved across to America to study art, I think. A guy called John Cleary, who's a particular favourite sort of piano player of mine. Wonderful sort of Mississippi, New Orleans style of blues playing. I listen to a lot of his stuff. I really enjoy King Kings. Enjoy what they do. And then, wow, just anything and everything really.
Jason Nogart asks, what's your favourite Magnum track and why?
I think my favourite one, which is the one that kind of I first had a massive impression, was the song Vigilante, and I love playing that song live, and I get very excited playing that song live. I have many recollections of jumping around Rock City, in my youth to that song. So I think that's a song that I always used to sort of identify with Magnum. But the first thing I ever heard was Storyteller's Night. That was the first time I ever heard. So Just Like an Arrow was obviously a song that that I heard first and really liked as well. So either of those two songs really.
Andy Hall asks, what colour do you think he should paint his kitchen?
Oh, you see, I'm a big fan of lilac. It's very calming. That sort of lilac-y purple. The studio's painted that colour. It is very calming. Unfortunately, the kitchen get a lot of greasy splatter on it. Dunno. Not white.
Andrew Beach asks, do you actually answer any of these questions?
Yes, we do.
Very serious question, this one. Brian Marks asks, what is your favourite brand of biscuit and why?
Oh, now, Brian, this is a very controversial question to ask a member of this band. I'm sure you'll appreciate that I don't take this question lightly. So pardon me while I ponder for a second and say a digestive. And a digestive because of its multi-purpose in life. A digestive can just be taken on its own with a nice cup of coffee, or it's wonderful with a nice piece of extra mature cheddar put on top of it, substituting for a cracker, or even a cheddar sandwich has been known in the past. So, yep. And then obviously the varieties that you can go into with digestives, with a chocolate digestive, not so good for dunking if you leave it in too long. Melts a little bit too much, put that extra texture chocolate on top. So it would be the digestive for me. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks very much, Rick.
You're welcome.
Question from Al Barrow. Have you got anything you would like to say to the Magnum fans out there?
Yeah, just thank you so much for the incredible welcome that you guys have given me since I joined the band, and all the lovely comments and reviews from everybody. So it feels great to have, as the new guy, to get a response like this. So I'm very, very happy.